this is the 14 to 21, this is where they're developing the ability to think rationally and to develop their own concepts for themselves. Now, of course, what's happening at this stage is they're going through puberty. So all of us know, having dealt with kids going through puberty, that this is really quite a tumultuous period of time, that as they're trying to develop themselves, they're also developing a new relationship with the world, because at this stage, the question that they're asking is, who am I? Who is, who am I? What's my identity? And who is my tribe? Who are the people that I want to hang out with? And who are my friends and everything else? And so they start to make life something that is of their own, not dependent totally on the parent. It's a case of, this is where they're starting to develop their own ideas of what they will be doing in the world. And they're seeking for that sense of truth, so that they can, sometimes it might be when they're expressing their understanding of what the truth is, they may even be misunderstood. And we see that with a lot of things that young people are engaging in, where they're expressing their voice out into community, where we've got the climate change voice that's being heard, or the Me Too voice, or whatever it is. But they're all seeking some sense of clarity about, who am I in this world? Who am I? What's my identity? They're also looking for role models. So they're beyond sort of imitating a hero. They're now looking for role models. And this is where, as the adults in the world, we do have some responsibility there, where we're allowing them to be in the right space to have some good role models, particularly as they're involved in educational community. But then, of course, if we're parents, we want them to have good role models outside of family as well, where they can mirror the values, or they can reflect some of the convictions that we might have, because they can be engaged in reasonable conversation with the family on this. They're also transitioning towards independence and maturity. And so they're starting to move away from some of the restrictions, particularly as we get into the upper level there of the 18, 21 years. They probably may even be leaving home, which means they develop some level of maturity, but they also begin to shape their own world as a result of that. And they may start to think at this point, it's, what type of things am I going to do in my life? So they're making decisions about their future at this particular stage, and it's all working on their ability to have this aspect of developing their own concepts and understanding, but also to engage in rational thinking. And then if we think about this is where the purpose base comes in, because this is kind of purpose, having a purpose. What is my purpose? And also, what impact can I have by the work that I start to do, particularly as you get into that higher level in the post formal education in a primary high school environment, and making those decisions. But once again, by having it purpose-based, it becomes, again, student-centered, that they start to be given the opportunity to make some choices about the way that they will explore the content that they need to embrace. So they start to develop their own individual understanding and meaning here for themselves. And so this gives them the opportunity. And I've given here this example here that I have is another program that we do called Young Entrepreneur Academy. And this is where we turn a project into a profitable project. So using Alex again, he did his project around bee ecology, but then when he started to explore it and realized he could make a business, we then got him going through a program where he developed some entrepreneurial skills, and he started this Bee Bar 3 Kids Honey, and he got his siblings involved. So the three of them, Alex and his brother and sister, developed this little business. So here it's purpose-based. Their learning is very on purpose, very focused, and it is a project based into a profitable project. So that's why we call it a purpose-based learning. But in this whole process, students are developing higher level skills, because they are at this stage where they're really starting to think about, well, what impact do I have? Where is my future going? What am I going to be doing with my life? And so helping them to develop those entrepreneurial skills is really important, because we're assisting them then to realise their potential as they progress further out into the world. So some of the activities that we can get them engaged in can be related to things that have purpose and impact in the world. So again, we continue the play again, we continue the projects again. So if we think about things like maker spaces or STEM-based projects, or even community service or work experience, all of those things can be all part of continuing this development and learning journey. A point to note is, if in the 0 to 7 they have some difficulties, then it's in these other phases that they might revisit and continue to develop their particular individual characteristics. For the type of curriculum activities that we get kids involved in this age of 14 to 21, it's very much focused on their future, of shaping their future, the direction that they're going to take. And it might be that they're developing more knowledge and understanding and higher levels of skills, but we need to also give them the opportunity to do some, career exploration, because at this stage they're making some decisions about the subjects that they will choose, and they'll be looking at how history and things around them, like geopolitical situations, they become more aware of these things, and they start to want to explore. So in this image here, again, this is one of our camps that we did, where we got the young people here to consider what it is that they could do that could be a community service. And in this case, we went on a beach walk and collected all the rubbish and the plastic. So again, they were doing a service learning here, tackling real world problems and also making a contribution. So being that global citizen and exercising responsibility. Something that we do within our programs is we follow this concept of ikigai, and we get the kids to understand that there are some things that they're really good at. And it might be that they're good at speaking, or they're good at coming up with ideas, or they're good at doing research, or they're good at doing, numbers and facts and figures, or they're good at making sure that everybody has a role to play within the group. So there's some things we try to help them to identify what they're good at, and then we connect it with what they love. So that's where the interests and their passions come in, and allowing them to follow that path when they're exploring curriculum content, and aligning it with what the world needs. And that's when we take them into this phase of the purpose, but also project based as well, which gives them a sense of mission. And then in the latter part, where we're looking at what can you be paid? So that's our young entrepreneur program, but it may not necessarily be what can you be paid for. It can be, well, what could you contribute to society where you can make a difference? So we're allowing them to embrace all the aspects, particularly in this sort of 14 to 21 years of age, because this is recently published in 2023, and it talks about the different skill levels and the different types of skills that young people, particularly at this age, need to start to develop. They're not just developing their knowledge skills, they're also developing social skills, they're also developing their own self-management skills, but also to how they engage in society. So you can see there that the emphasis there on level 3 gives a bit far more detail. And this next slide, it actually gives the project here of an environmental cleanup. So similar to what we did with the students that were at the Genius Camp, where we were focusing on environment, we got them to engage in environmental cleanup. And as you can see, we're addressing the development of these skills. So they're problem solving. So they're looking at, well, why is the plastic being coming onto the shore, what format it is, what can happen with it, how can we remove this plastic so that it doesn't have an impact. And of course, where we were was in a pristine area where the whales and the dugongs and significant marine life come through. We were also getting them to communicate too, to work out with each other, but also to do a presentation at the end about, you know, why they did this and what did they achieve and what was the purpose of it and what action should other people take as a result of them demonstrating their action. So the attitudes is a sense of consciousness, taking initiative, civic responsibility, and environmental stewardship. So by a simple exercise like that, that was purpose-based, we were developing these particular skills with the young people as well.